There are 5 words, only 5, that can lift chains from your spirit, heal wounds older than your body, and silence the cries that echo from generations past. These words are not magic, but when spoken, they can turn graves of pain into gardens of peace. If you let them, they will carry you where silence, anger, and shame never could. My friends, we do not suffer only from what was done to us. We suffer from what was passed down before us, unspoken but heavy, invisible yet sharp. Generational pain is not just the story of our parents, it is the unfinished song of our ancestors vibrating inside our bones. Too many walk through life carrying burdens that were never theirs to hold, fear they didn't create, shame they didn't deserve, silence they didn't choose. But tonight, I will give you 5 words, just 5, that break that chain. Stay with me until the last, for each word carries a key, and only when the 5 are spoken together will you hear the lock click open. There is a deep and quiet wound that lives inside so many of us, a wound that does not show on the skin, but weighs heavy in the spirit. It is the wound of self-blame. We do not always speak of it, but it moves through us like a shadow. When something goes wrong, when love leaves, when family breaks, when silence fills the room, we reach for ourselves first. We say, it must be me. We say, I should have been different. We say, if I had been better, maybe the story would have ended better. And those words, even when whispered only in the corners of our minds, become the chains we carry. To forgive yourself is to recognize that you are not the reason for every storm. You are not the origin of every ache. Forgiving yourself is not about excusing what you did not know then. It is about embracing who you are now. Too many of us carry guilt that was never ours to carry. We walk around with the shame of our parents, the regrets of our grandparents, the broken promises of people who came before us. We mistake their choices for our responsibility, and their voices become the judge in our heads. But hear me, you were never meant to live imprisoned by someone else's unfinished story. When you whisper, I forgive myself, you are doing something radical. You are telling the child inside you that they are safe now. You are telling the teenager in you who made mistakes, who stumbled, who searched for love in places that could not hold it, that they deserve compassion instead of condemnation. You are telling the adult who tried and failed, who lost and feared, who bent under the weight of impossible expectations, that they are still worthy of tenderness. Forgiveness is not erasing the past. It is refusing to let the past poison the present. Think of the times you have held yourself hostage. Think of the moments where you replayed a mistake over and over like a film stuck on repeat, punishing yourself long after the world had moved on. Did it heal you? Did it bring peace? Or did it carve the same wound deeper? Self-forgiveness is the only door out of that cycle. It says, yes, I have fallen, but I will not chain myself to the ground. Yes, I have failed, but I will not build a prison out of my failure. Yes, I have been wounded, but I will not wound myself again by refusing to heal. There is courage in forgiving yourself because it means confronting the hardest truth. You are human, and to be human is to be flawed. To be human is to stumble. To be human is to sometimes repeat the very pain you swore you would never repeat. And yet to be human is also to learn, to rise, to choose differently the next time. The beauty of forgiveness is that it does not deny the scar. It makes peace with it. It says, this scar tells my story, but it does not define my destiny. When you forgive yourself, you shift the direction of generations. Imagine a mother who spends her life drowning in shame for not being perfect, for not being enough. She passes that silence to her children, who grow up believing they too must hide their flaws. But imagine instead a mother who looks her children in the eyes and says, I forgive myself. She models for them what grace looks like. She shows them that falling does not disqualify you from love, That imperfection does not erase your worth. That simple act begins to rewrite the story, not just for her, but for those who come after her. Forgiving yourself does not mean forgetting responsibility. No, it means holding responsibility in one hand and compassion in the other. It means saying, yes, I made choices that hurt me or hurt others. And yes, I will learn, I will grow, I will repair what can be repaired. But I will not live the rest of my life in punishment. Punishment cannot birth transformation, but forgiveness can. Forgiveness gives you the strength to try again, to love again, to rise again. There will be voices inside and outside that tell you forgiveness is weakness, that to forgive yourself is to excuse your mistakes. But I tell you, there is nothing weak about looking your pain in the eye and choosing love anyway. Weakness is staying chained to shame because you are too afraid to walk free. Strength is setting yourself free and daring to live in peace. When you say, I forgive myself, the first time it may tremble. Your voice may crack. You may feel the resistance of every old lie telling you that you do not deserve it. Say it anyway. Say it again. Say it until the words move from your lips into your heart. Forgiveness is a practice, not a moment. It is something you may need to speak every morning until it grows roots inside you. And when it does, you will feel lighter. You will breathe easier. You will begin to see yourself not as a problem to fix, but as a soul to love. The truth is, the world will hand you enough judgment. The world will hand you enough criticism. You do not need to become your own executioner. What you need is to become your own healer. And healing always begins with forgiveness. To forgive yourself is to unlock the door to your own freedom. It is to stop dragging your past into every new day. It is to finally rest. So tonight, whisper it. Say it out loud. Say it in the quiet of your room. Say it while looking at your reflection. Say it until it no longer feels foreign. I forgive myself. Let those words be the balm that generations before you never received. Let them be the key that opens the door your ancestors longed to walk through but could not. Let them be the beginning of your freedom. There comes a moment in every life when you realize you are carrying too much. You wake up with the weight of faces, voices, and memories that do not belong in your present day. They sit in your chest like stones, pressing on your spirit, slowing your steps. You carry the betrayal of someone who said they loved you but broke you. You carry the silence of someone who should have spoken but didn't. You carry the absence of someone who walked away without explanation. And without knowing it, you begin to live not with them, but for them. Every choice, every hesitation, every fear becomes tethered to their shadow. Releasing someone does not mean denying what they did. Releasing is not erasing. It does not say, it never happened. No, releasing is standing face to face with the truth and saying, it happened, it hurt, but I refuse to carry it anymore. You see, carrying pain is not loyalty. Carrying pain does not make you noble. Carrying pain does not fix what was broken. It only bleeds into your future, staining the days ahead with the colors of yesterday. When you whisper the words, I release you, you are not giving them freedom. They already took their freedom the day they walked away, the day they betrayed, the day they chose themselves over you. No, when you whisper those words, you are giving freedom to yourself. You are loosening the rope around your own neck. You are unclenching the fists that have been gripping ghosts. Releasing someone is not about them. It is about you reclaiming the space in your own soul. Too often we confuse holding on with strength. We believe that if we keep rehearsing the wound, replaying the story, reliving the scene, somehow justice will rise out of it. But justice does not come from reliving. Healing does not come from replaying. Healing comes from release. There are people who spend decades dragging the past behind them like a coffin, never realizing they are the ones who built the chains that bind them to it. When you say, "I release you," you are choosing to put the coffin down. You are choosing life over lingering death. Release does not mean reconciliation. It does not mean welcoming someone back into your arms. It does not mean opening the door to the same pain again. Release means you stop fighting battles that are already over. It means you stop waiting for an apology that will never arrive. It means you stop watering the weeds of resentment and start planting the seeds of peace. Release is not the same as forgetting. It is remembering without bleeding. Think of a river. When rocks fall into it, the water does not stop flowing. It bends around the stone. It makes space. It keeps moving. That is release. It is not about pretending the rock was never there. It is about refusing to let the rock stop the current. To release is to keep moving when life gives you reasons to stop. To release is to honor your own journey enough to say, "I cannot stay stuck here." Many fear release because they think it means letting someone win. But listen closely. The one who wins is the one who walks away free, and you cannot walk free until you let go. Releasing someone is not surrendering the truth. It is surrendering the need to keep drinking poison in the name of remembering. It is realizing that the justice you seek outside can never outweigh the peace you deserve inside. When you hold on, the past becomes your prison. It colors the way you love. It shapes the way you trust. It whispers into your quiet moments, reminding you of what you lost. But when you release, you make room for newness. You open your heart to the possibility of love without chains, joy without conditions, and life without constant shadows. Release is the soil where healing grows. There will be voices inside you that resist, voices that say, if I release them, then they get away with it. Voices that say, if I release them, then my pain won't matter. But your pain matters even more when you decide not to let it define you. Releasing them does not diminish what you endured. Releasing them amplifies the courage it took to survive. It takes strength to hold on, yes, but it takes greater strength to let go of what cannot be undone, to let go of what will never be answered, to let go of what cannot be explained. That is the kind of courage that builds new worlds. That is the kind of courage that rewrites bloodlines. Because when you release, you do not just set yourself free, you set generations free. You say, this bitterness stops with me, this resentment ends here, this cycle will not be carried into tomorrow. You are not responsible for what others did, but you are responsible for what you carry. And carrying them forever is not love. Carrying them forever is not loyalty. Carrying them forever is choosing to bleed for people who are no longer standing beside you. Release is choosing life. Release is choosing joy. Release is choosing to stand in the sunlight without dragging the storm behind you. So when you whisper, I release you, imagine the chains falling. Imagine the rope loosening. Imagine the shadows fading. Imagine your own soul stretching its arms, taking its first full breath in years. That is the gift of release. That is the power of choosing not to carry what was never yours to hold. And that is when you begin to feel the quiet, gentle weight of peace settling where pain once lived. From the moment we arrive in this world, the voices begin. They are not always cruel, but they are relentless. They come from parents trying to shape us, from teachers trying to measure us, from friends trying to compare us, from strangers trying to define us. And somewhere between those voices, a seed is planted that whispers, you are not enough. Not smart enough, not strong enough, not beautiful enough, not worthy enough. And before long, we believe it. We wear it like skin. We walk into rooms with our heads bowed because we are convinced that everyone else is more deserving, more capable, more valuable than we are. The wound of not enough is perhaps the oldest inheritance. It is passed from generation to generation, disguised as discipline, as tradition, as survival. Our mothers tell us to be better than they were, and so we hear we are not yet good. Our fathers tell us to be stronger than they were, and so we hear we are too weak. The world tells us to do more, achieve more, buy more, prove more, and so we hear that what we already are is not sufficient. And quietly, we begin to shape our lives around an endless hunger that cannot be filled. But let me tell you this truth. The moment you declare, "I am enough," chains begin to break. It does not matter how many times you were told you were not worthy. It does not matter how many times you were overlooked, rejected, abandoned. It does not matter how loudly the world shouted its lies. The moment you claim, "I am enough," you begin to write a new story. Because enough is not a measure of perfection. It is a declaration of inherent worth. Enough does not mean flawless. It means whole. Enough does not mean finished. It means worthy of love, worthy of belonging, worthy of joy, exactly as you are right now. Think of all the ways you have postponed your happiness. You said, "I'll be happy when I lose the weight." You said, "I'll be happy when I earn the promotion." You said, "I'll be happy when I am chosen by love." And each time you postponed your joy, you told yourself you were not enough yet. But what if joy is not waiting at the end of achievement? What if joy is standing beside you right now, asking only for your permission to enter? When you declare, "I am enough," you unlock that door. You stop waiting for some future version of yourself to deserve peace, and you allow peace to live with you here, today. Children know they are enough until the world teaches them otherwise. Watch a child play. They do not ask if their laugh is too loud or their dance is too clumsy. They do not question if they deserve space. They take up space with certainty because they have not yet been taught to shrink. To reclaim "I am enough" is to return to that childlike truth. It is to peel away the layers of lies that time has built and rediscover the simple, unshakable reality that you were worthy the day you were born, and nothing has the power to strip that from you. It is not easy to believe in your own enoughness when the world profits from your doubt. Entire industries are built on convincing you that you must become more to be valuable. Buy more, look different, change yourself, hide yourself. But when you stand in defiance of that lie and declare, "I am enough," you not only free yourself, you disrupt the cycle. You refuse to hand down the hunger of unworthiness to those who will come after you. You give your children and their children the gift of seeing someone stand tall, not because they are perfect, but because they are whole. To say, "I am enough" does not mean you will never grow, never evolve. Growth is beautiful, but it must come from love, not shame. When you believe you are enough, you can still change, but you change because you desire, not because you are desperate. You grow because you are expanding, not because you are trying to prove. That difference shifts everything. Imagine building your life not from the fear of inadequacy, but from the joy of abundance. That is the soil where authentic growth blossoms. When you look in the mirror and whisper, "I am enough," the reflection will not change overnight. The doubts will rise. The old voices will protest. But speak it anyway. Speak it until the words move from your mouth into your bones. Speak it until they silence the lies that have lived rent-free in your head for years. Speak it until you believe it the way you once believed the falsehood. Words shape reality, and there are no words more revolutionary than these. I am enough. Remember the nights you cried because you felt unseen. Remember the moments you were overlooked, undervalued, misunderstood. Those moments did not prove you were unworthy. They only revealed that others could not recognize your light. But your light is not defined by who acknowledges it. The sun does not stop shining because clouds cover it. Your worth does not diminish because someone else fails to honor it. You were enough before they noticed, and you will be enough long after they forget. When you live as though you are enough, your entire posture changes. You no longer beg for scraps of affection because you know love is not charity. It is your birthright. You no longer exhaust yourself chasing validation because you carry validation within. You no longer shrink to fit into spaces that were never built for your fullness because you know your presence is not too much. It is exactly right. Living in enoughness is not arrogance. It is truth. It is not boastful. It is freedom. So many before you lived their entire lives never believing they were enough. They died with their songs unsung, their dreams unlived, their joy unclaimed, because they thought they needed permission to be whole. But you, right here, right now, you can choose differently. You can be the one who stops the cycle. You can be the one who says, it ends with me. The lie of unworthiness will not pass through my hands to another generation. I am enough. And in claiming that truth, you do not just free yourself, you free the line that comes after you. Every day we stand at a crossroad, even if we do not see it. On one side is the road of silence, bitterness, and old wounds. On the other side is the road of restoration, gentleness, and freedom. Most of us do not choose the first road consciously. It simply becomes familiar. Pain becomes a companion we stop questioning. Hurt becomes a story we tell so often that it becomes the only story we know. But there comes a sacred moment when the heart whispers, enough. I do not want to live like this anymore. And in that moment, a choice is born. I choose healing. Healing does not fall into our laps like a gift wrapped in ribbon. Healing is not a sudden sunrise that erases every shadow. Healing is a decision, and it is a decision you must make again and again. To choose healing means to resist the urge to reopen wounds just to prove they are still there. It means deciding not to let bitterness sit at your table, even when resentment knocks at your door daily. It means choosing to walk into therapy, into prayer, into stillness, into whatever space teaches your spirit to breathe again. There is a difference between existing and healing. To exist is to let time pass while the wound festers. To heal is to step into time with courage to say, this hurt will not define the rest of my life. Too many of us mistake survival for healing. We say, I survived my childhood. I survived that heartbreak. I survived that betrayal. But survival is not the same as wholeness. Survival gets you through the night, but healing allows you to sing in the morning. Choosing healing is daring to live beyond survival. When you say, I choose healing, you are not denying what happened to you. You are not minimizing the betrayal, the trauma, the neglect. You are acknowledging it in the fullest way possible and then declaring, this is not where my story ends. Choosing healing does not erase the past, but it rewrites your relationship with it. Instead of being the victim trapped inside the wound, you become the witness who says, yes, it happened. But look at me now. Look at how I have grown. Look at how I refuse to be broken forever. Healing is not linear. Some days it will feel like you are whole again, and then a memory, a scent, a voice will shatter you all over. That does not mean you have failed. That does not mean the healing is gone. Healing is like the tide. It ebbs and flows, but it always returns. Each time you choose healing, even in the small ways, by resting instead of numbing, by speaking truth instead of burying it, by reaching out instead of shutting down, you are building a foundation stronger than the pain ever was. There will be people who do not understand your healing. They may accuse you of being selfish for choosing rest. They may call you ungrateful for naming old wounds. They may grow uncomfortable when you refuse to carry burdens that do not belong to you. But healing is not about their comfort. Healing is about your freedom. And sometimes choosing healing will mean disappointing those who benefited from your silence. Sometimes it will mean walking away from environments that thrive on your brokenness. Sometimes it will mean breaking traditions that only pass down more pain. Healing is costly, but the price of staying unhealed is far greater. You must also understand that healing is not only for you. Yes, you will feel lighter. Yes, you will find joy again, but the choice you make ripples outward. When you choose healing, your children inherit resilience instead of resentment. Your relationships inherit truth instead of pretense. Your community inherits light instead of cycles of darkness. Healing is contagious, and when one person chooses it, it opens the door for others to believe they can too. Many people wait for time to do the work of healing. They say, give it time and it will fade. But time itself does not heal. Time is neutral. Time only carries what you place inside it. If you place denial in time, you will reap silence. If you place bitterness in time, you will reap resentment. But if you place intention, truth, and compassion in time, you will reap healing. Choosing healing is not about waiting for the wound to close itself. It is about actively tending to it until it transforms. Imagine a garden left untended. Weeds grow wild, choking out every flower. The soil hardens, the roots weaken, the beauty fades. That is what life becomes when we do not choose healing. But when you kneel in the dirt, when you pull out the weeds, when you water the soil with patience, when you let the sun kiss it day by day, slowly, quietly, beauty returns. That is what it means to choose healing. It is not glamorous. It is not instant. But it is holy work, sacred work, work that will one day cause others to look at you and marvel at the garden you became after the fire. Choosing healing is choosing to love yourself enough to no longer identify with the wound. You are not the abandonment you endured. You are not the heartbreak you survived. You are not the betrayal you suffered. You are more. And to heal is to remember that truth again and again until it finally takes root inside you. So each day when you rise, you will face the choice. Do I carry the pain of yesterday into this new morning, or do I place it down and say, I choose healing? And each time you choose healing, even in the smallest ways, you are planting seeds of peace that will bloom long after the pain has gone silent. Healing is not an accident. It is a choice. And the most powerful thing you can ever do for yourself, for your family, for the world, is to make that choice and keep making it.